I didn't move. None of us did. The second knock echoed through the hallway like a countdown I couldn't stop. Ava's eyes stayed fixed on Rachel, who looked like she might faint. My stomach twisted. I could still hear that laugh outside, smug and casual, like the man at the door had no idea he'd just stepped into a minefield. Rachel whispered, "Don't open it." But my hand was already reaching for the handle. I needed the truth. Not guesses, not lies dressed as freelance work. The truth. When I pulled the door open, the afternoon light spilled across our porch, and there he was. Marco. Same slick hair, same expensive watch, same arrogance. He smiled like we were old friends. "Ethan," he said smoothly, "didn't expect to see both of you today." Rachel made a sound, half gasp, half growl. Ava stepped forward, crossing her arms. "Funny," she said, voice sharp as glass, "neither did I." The air turned electric. Marco's smile faltered for the first time. He glanced at Ava, then at Rachel, then at me. Three people, one tangled web of secrets, and nowhere left to hide. "What's going on?" I asked, though I already knew. I just needed to hear someone say it. Rachel was trembling now, tears pooling in her eyes. "Ethan, please, can we not do this here?" "No," Ava cut in. "We are doing this here. You've been texting my husband for months. Sending him photos. Promising him weekends." She pulled her phone from her pocket and waved it like evidence. "You think deleting messages makes them disappear? I have everything." Rachel's tears vanished as fast as they came. Her voice hardened. "Ava, you're humiliating yourself. Marco and I." "Don't you dare," Ava snapped. "You don't get to rewrite this. You don't get to play victim." Marco held up his hands like a peacekeeper. "All right, everyone just calm down." "Calm down?" I stepped forward. "You've been paying my wife, sending her money, sneaking around behind both our backs, and now you show up on my doorstep?" He sighed, as if I was being unreasonable. "Look, it's not what you think." "Then what is it, Marco?" Ava demanded. "Because to me, it looks like my husband found himself a second family." Rachel flinched. Her hand drifted to her stomach again, almost on instinct. And in that small, trembling movement, everything inside me froze. No. It couldn't be. Ava noticed too. "Oh my God," she whispered, realization dawning on her face. Marco's eyes widened, his voice barely above a breath. "Rachel." I stared at her, my voice cracking. "Rachel, is it his?" Her lips parted, trembling. She didn't answer. And that silence told me more than any confession ever could. Rachel's silence hung heavier than any answer. She just stood there, eyes wide, one trembling hand still pressed against her stomach. Ava covered her mouth, whispering, "Oh my God," like she was watching a slow-motion car crash. Marco took a step closer. "Rachel, tell him. Tell me." Her voice cracked when it finally came. "It's not confirmed. I don't even know yet." I felt the ground slip beneath me. "You don't know?" I said, each word scraping my throat raw. "Rachel, you told me we were done trying. You said you didn't want more kids." She snapped her head up, eyes sharp, tears gone. "So now you want to talk about family? About kids? When was the last time you were here for any of it?" There it was again, the deflection, the blame shift. She was cornered, but instead of coming clean, she reached for the oldest weapon in her arsenal, guilt. Ava cut in, voice cold. "You're unbelievable. You ruined two families and still managed to act like you're the victim." Rachel rounded on her. "You don't know what it's like living with a man who treats you like a trophy, who only remembers you exist when you're convenient." Marco's jaw tightened. "Don't twist this. You said you were leaving him, that it was over. Because you said you'd leave her." Rachel fired back. Ava laughed, bitter, hollow. "There it is. The real script. You both lied. To us. To each other. I took a step back, trying to breathe through the chaos. I can't do this, I muttered. My pulse was pounding in my ears, every beat screaming, "Get out! Get out now!" Rachel reached for me. "Ethan, please." I jerked away. Don't touch me." Marco turned to Ava, desperation creeping into his tone. "Let's go. We'll talk at home." Ava shook her head. "Home? You think you're coming home with me after this?" She thrust her phone at him. "You want to see home? Here." She opened a photo, one I recognized instantly. Rachel. My wife. In a hotel mirror, wrapped in nothing but his shirt. Rachel gasped. "Ava." "Save it," Ava snapped. "You sent these from my house, didn't you?" While my kids were in the next room. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Every image, every message, every lie slammed into me all at once. The PayPal notes. The late night laughter. The perfume. The secrecy. All of it pointed to this moment. Ava turned to me, her voice softer now. "You and I, we're the collateral. But at least now you know." She walked off, her heels sharp against the porch, not looking back. Marco followed her halfway, then stopped, glancing at Rachel with something between anger and regret. "You've destroyed everything," he muttered, and left. The door slammed behind them, leaving just me and Rachel, and the silence between us was deafening. She whispered, "Ethan, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to get this far." I looked at her, the woman I thought I knew, the one who swore her clients were just business, and I realized I didn't believe a single word. "This far?" I said quietly. "Rachel, you burned the whole house down. There's nothing left to mean." Her eyes welled again. "Please, just let me explain." But explanations were just more words, and every word she spoke dug the hole deeper. I turned away, my voice low. "You can explain when the test comes back." And then I walked out, not because I wanted to, but because staying felt like drowning. I drove for hours that night, no destination, just empty roads and a head full of noise. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Rachel on that porch, clutching her stomach, saying she didn't know. Didn't know? How do you not know who fathered your child? When the gas light came on, I pulled over near a park and just sat there, staring at the steering wheel. Part of me wanted to believe her, that it was confusion, a mistake, something salvageable. But the other part, the one that had watched her lie straight to my face for months, knew better. Around midnight, I checked my phone. Dozens of messages from Rachel. "We need to talk. Please come home. I made mistakes, but not like you think. You're scaring the kids." And then one that made my stomach twist. "If you walk away, you'll regret it. You'll destroy this family, not me." Even now, she was twisting it, painting herself as the victim. I wasn't ready to face her, but I needed clarity. So I opened our shared laptop, the one she thought I never touched. I remembered her old passwords, the ones she used before she started hiding everything behind Face ID and fingerprint locks. Her email opened like a confession. Folders labeled clients, invoices, and buried deeper, archive_OLD. Inside were threads with Marco and others, messages that read more like love letters than business deals. "You make me feel seen again. When I talk to you, I forget I'm married. He doesn't look at me the way you do." Photos. Dates. Hotel receipts. One message was timestamped the night she told me she was working late for a deadline. Another matched the evening I'd surprised her with dinner and she'd snapped, "I'm not hungry." Every word peeled back another layer of the person I thought I knew. But what cut deepest was a message she sent to Marco just last week. "Once the test comes back, I'll tell him. I just need time." She'd known for days. Maybe weeks. And still, she'd looked me in the eye and lied. By the time the sun rose, I'd read everything. Every lie. Every secret. Every promise she made to another man while wearing my ring. When I finally pulled into our driveway, the lights were still on. She was waiting in the doorway, face pale, eyes red. "Ethan," she whispered. "Please, can we talk?" I stepped past her without a word. Because talking was how she lied, and I was done being her audience. Rachel followed me into the kitchen, her voice trembling but sharp enough to cut glass. "Ethan, please. Don't do this. You don't understand everything that happened." I dropped my keys on the counter. "I understand enough. I read the emails, Rachel. The messages. The photos. The hotel receipts. You've been living two lives." She froze, her face draining of color. Then, like always, she reached for control. "You had no right to go through my private stuff." I laughed, bitter and hollow. "Private? You made our marriage public the moment you dragged another man into it." Her expression flickered guilt, fear, then defiance. "You don't know what it's like being invisible, Ethan. I tried to talk to you. I begged you to see me, to make me feel wanted. But you were too busy with your job, your deadlines." "There it is again," I said, cutting her off. "The excuses. The blame. You could have talked to me. You didn't need to lie, to cheat, to sell some fantasy to men online." She flinched. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it?" I asked. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks a lot like betrayal." Rachel turned away, her shoulders stiff. "Marco manipulated me. He knew what to say. He made me feel special. And when I tried to end it, he threatened to tell you." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "That's the story you're going with? That you were the victim?" Tears welled in her eyes, but I couldn't tell if they were real or part of the performance. "I was lonely," she whispered. "You have no idea what that does to a person." "Lonely?" I said. "We have a family, Rachel. Kids who adore you. A home we built together. You didn't need more. You wanted more. And you took it until it blew up in your face." For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. She just stood there, breathing hard, trapped in a silence she couldn't manipulate. Finally, she muttered, "What happens now?" I met her eyes. "That depends on whether you're ready to stop lying." She hesitated, too long. And that hesitation said everything. "Ethan," she whispered, "I still love you." I stared at her, trying to find even a flicker of the woman I married. But all I saw was a stranger wearing her face. "You love control," I said. "You love the attention. But love? You buried that a long time ago." Her lips parted, but no words came. And for once, Rachel, the woman who always had something to say, was silent. The next morning, the house was silent except for the hum of the fridge. I hadn't slept. Rachel moved around quietly, like a stranger afraid to wake a ghost. I sat at the table, coffee untouched, a manila envelope in front of me. It had arrived late last night, no return address, just my name in neat block letters. I hadn't opened it. Not yet. Rachel came downstairs, pale, eyes rimmed with red. "Ethan," she started, voice soft, careful, "about yesterday." "Don't," I said. "Not yet." I tapped the envelope. "You know what this is?" Her breath caught. "Where did you?" "It was in the mailbox. Someone wanted me to see it." She swallowed hard, looking anywhere but at me. "You don't need to open it." "That's exactly what you said about your emails," I shot back. And look how that turned out. For a long moment, we just stared at each other, two people sharing the same space, but not the same life. Finally, I tore the flap. Inside were photos. Printed. Tangible. No denials, no deleted messages, just truth. Rachel and Marco. A hotel lobby. A restaurant I recognized. One picture in particular stopped me cold, Rachel sitting at a small cafe table, her hand resting over his, both of them smiling like they had no secrets left to hide. The timestamp was from 3 weeks ago, the night she told me she was meeting a local client. Her voice broke. "Ethan, please. I didn't mean for any of this to happen." He said things I needed to hear. "I didn't plan it." "Of course you didn't," I said quietly. "None of your lies were ever planned. They just happened." She stepped forward, reaching for my hand. "I'm trying to fix this." I pulled back. "You can't fix what you won't admit." Her eyes hardened again. "Fine. You want honesty? I don't know who the father is. I wish I did. But I'm not the only one to blame. You checked out long before I did." There it was, the dagger wrapped in justification. She couldn't stand in the wreckage without finding someone to push into it with her. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text. "Check your porch. We need to talk. Ava." Rachel's face drained. "Ethan, don't." I rose from the chair. "You've had your turn to talk. Now it's mine." When I opened the front door, Ava stood there, holding another envelope. "This isn't about her," she said. "It's about him. And you need to see what he's really hiding." Ava stepped past me into the hallway, eyes scanning the house like she was walking through a crime scene. Rachel hovered behind me, pale and tense, whispering, "You shouldn't be here." Ava ignored her. "I'm not here for her. I'm here for you." She handed me the envelope, thicker than the last. "Marco wasn't just cheating, Ethan. He was planning something. And you deserve to know what you're caught in." Rachel's voice rose, brittle. "She's lying. She's trying to destroy me." Ava shot her a look sharp enough to cut. "You did that yourself." My hand shook as I opened the envelope. Inside were documents, contracts, screenshots, receipts. But not the kind I expected. These weren't love letters. They were bank transfers, business filings, and one particularly damning email chain between Marco and a consultant. My name was on it. "What is this?" I asked, flipping through the pages. "Why is my name here?" Ava exhaled. "He used your company info. Set up fake consulting invoices through your wife's freelance accounts. It wasn't just about the affair. He's laundering money, and if it comes out, it's all tied to you." I stared at Rachel. "Tell me she's lying." Her face went blank, not shocked, not confused, just empty. And that silence again. That damn silence. I slammed the folder down. "Rachel! Tell me this isn't real." Tears welled up, but I'd seen this act before. "I didn't know, Ethan. I thought it was just side income, honest work." He said he needed my name for. For what? I roared. To cover his tracks? To drag us into his mess? Ava stepped closer, voice low. "He's under investigation, Ethan. And if they follow the money, they'll find your accounts, your address, your wife. You need to protect yourself before he pulls you down with him." Rachel shook her head frantically. No, she's lying." "Stop," I said. "Just stop. I'm done choosing between your lies and someone else's truth." Ava pressed a USB drive into my hand. "Everything's on here. Emails, transfers, call logs. It's all the proof you need." And before Rachel could respond, Ava walked out, leaving me standing there with evidence that the woman who betrayed me emotionally might have destroyed me legally, too. Rachel whispered, "Ethan, please, we can fix this." I stared at the USB in my hand. "You can't fix federal crimes, Rachel." Her lip trembled. "If you turn that over, you'll ruin me." I looked her dead in the eyes. "You already did." I stood in the doorway long after Ava left, the USB heavy in my hand like a loaded weapon. Rachel paced the living room, muttering to herself, tears streaking her face but never quite falling. "Ethan, listen to me," she said finally. You can't go to the police. If this gets out, they'll drag you in too. Everything's in your name. You'll lose your job. Your reputation. Everything you've worked for. I stared at her. So your plan is what? Pretend it never happened? No, she said quickly, stepping closer. We delete everything. Every file. Every message. We make it disappear, and we start over. Please, Ethan. For the kids. The way she said it, calm, rehearsed, told me she'd thought this through long before Ava showed up. I'm not covering for you, I said quietly. Not this time. She reached out, grabbing my arm. You think you're innocent? You didn't see me. You didn't ask questions. You let me build this because you didn't care enough to look. That makes you part of it. Her words stung because there was a grain of truth buried in them. I hadn't looked closely. I wanted peace so badly I ignored the warning signs until the whole house burned down. But guilt wasn't the same as guilt. And I wasn't going down for her choices. I pulled free. I'll call a lawyer. I'll show them the evidence. I'll tell them everything. Her eyes flashed, fury cutting through the tears. You'd ruin me? The mother of your children? You ruined yourself, I said. She backed away, shaking her head, breathing fast. You don't understand. Marco won't let this go. If you turn on him, he'll destroy us both. Then maybe it's time he tried, I said. Rachel stared at me for a long moment, then whispered, You'll regret this. I turned toward the stairs, tired, done. But as I reached the landing, I heard the faint click of a lock. Rachel had gone into the office, the same room where all her secrets lived. And suddenly I knew, she wasn't going to confess. She was going to erase. I stood frozen halfway up the stairs, listening to the frantic clatter of keys behind the office door. Rachel was in there, typing fast, drawers opening and slamming shut. Every instinct screamed that she was destroying everything, the emails, the files, maybe even that USB Ava had given me if she could find it. I moved quietly, pushing the door open before she could lock it. She spun around, eyes wild, face pale and slick with sweat. Ethan, she gasped. You scared me. On the desk, her laptop screen glowed with a progress bar, deleting 1,432 items. I stepped forward. What are you doing? Protecting us, she snapped, slamming the lid shut. You don't understand. If anyone sees this, it's over. For both of us. For you, I corrected. Not me. I didn't lie. I didn't cheat. I didn't help a criminal hide money. Her voice dropped, cold and measured. You think that matters? It's your name on the accounts. Your signature. You're in this whether you like it or not. The words hit harder than any scream. She wasn't pleading anymore, she was reminding me how deep her web went. I reached for the laptop, but she snatched it away, clutching it to her chest. You're not ruining me, Ethan. You've taken enough from me already. I laughed bitterly. You took everything, my trust, our marriage, our future. Then what's one more thing, she hissed. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. A text from Ava. He knows. You're both in danger. Check your back door. My pulse spiked. I turned toward the hallway just as the porch light flickered through the glass. A shadow moved outside, a tall, steady, pacing. Rachel's eyes darted to the window, then back to me. It's him, she whispered. Marco? She nodded once. He's here. The knock came, slow, deliberate, echoing through the quiet house. I felt the weight of the USB in my pocket, the evidence Ava had given me. Rachel was trembling, clutching the laptop like a shield. Another knock. Louder this time. She whispered, Ethan, please, don't open it. But deep down, I already knew this was the reckoning we couldn't run from. And the truth was about to walk through my door. The pounding grew louder, 3 heavy knocks that made the picture frames rattle. Rachel stood behind me, clutching her laptop, her breathing sharp and shallow. "Ethan, don't," she whispered again, voice trembling. "Please, just let him go." But I couldn't live with more unanswered questions. Not after months of lies. Not after watching her bury the truth one keystroke at a time. I grabbed the handle and pulled. Marco stood on the porch, rain dripping from his coat, that same polished arrogance replaced by something colder, calculation. "Evening," he said, voice low. "We need to talk." Rachel's voice cracked. "You shouldn't be here." He smiled faintly. "We both know I should." Then his gaze shifted to me. "You've got something that belongs to me." I slipped my hand into my pocket, feeling the edge of the USB. "You mean the evidence? The proof you used my name to launder money?" "Yeah, I've got it." His jaw twitched, but his voice stayed calm. "You don't understand what you're holding. If you give that to anyone, you're not clearing your name, you're painting a target on your back." Rachel stepped forward. "Marco, stop. Please." "Still defending him?" I snapped. "After everything?" She shook her head frantically. "No, you don't get it, he's dangerous, Ethan." Marco's eyes darkened. "Dangerous? I gave you everything. And now you're turning on me?" "I didn't know what you were doing," she shouted. "You said it was clean. You promised." He stepped closer, voice like ice. "You're the one who sent the files, Rachel. Don't act innocent now." I moved between them. "You're not pinning this on her. You used her. Both of us." His expression hardened. "I warned her not to get you involved. Now it's too late. They're already watching." "Who?" I demanded. But before he could answer, headlights swept across the window, 2 black SUVs rolling to a stop at the curb. Rachel gasped. "Oh my God." Marco cursed under his breath. "They're early." I looked from him to Rachel, confusion twisting in my chest. "Who's early?" He turned to me, eyes sharp. "You really don't know, do you?" The door burst open behind him. Voices shouted. Flashlights cut through the rain. And before I could even blink, the past months of lies, secrets, and betrayals came crashing into one terrifying truth: this wasn't just about infidelity anymore. This was about survival. The pounding grew louder, 3 heavy knocks that made the picture frames rattle. Rachel stood behind me, clutching her laptop, her breathing sharp and shallow. "Ethan, don't," she whispered again, voice trembling. "Please, just let him go." But I couldn't live with more unanswered questions. Not after months of lies. Not after watching her bury the truth one keystroke at a time. I grabbed the handle and pulled. Marco stood on the porch, rain dripping from his coat, that same polished arrogance replaced by something colder, calculation. "Evening," he said, voice low. "We need to talk." Rachel's voice cracked. "You shouldn't be here." He smiled faintly. "We both know I should." Then his gaze shifted to me. "You've got something that belongs to me." I slipped my hand into my pocket, feeling the edge of the USB. "You mean the evidence? The proof you used my name to launder money?" "Yeah, I've got it." His jaw twitched, but his voice stayed calm. "You don't understand what you're holding. If you give that to anyone, you're not clearing your name, you're painting a target on your back." Rachel stepped forward. "Marco, stop. Please." "Still defending him?" I snapped. "After everything?" She shook her head frantically. "No, you don't get it, he's dangerous, Ethan." Marco's eyes darkened. "Dangerous? I gave you everything. And now you're turning on me?" "I didn't know what you were doing," she shouted. "You said it was clean. You promised." He stepped closer, voice like ice. "You're the one who sent the files, Rachel. Don't act innocent now." I moved between them. You're not pinning this on her. You used her. Both of us. His expression hardened. I warned her not to get you involved. Now it's too late. They're already watching. Who? I demanded. But before he could answer, headlights swept across the window, two black SUVs rolling to a stop at the curb. Rachel gasped. Oh my God. Marco cursed under his breath. They're early. I looked from him to Rachel, confusion twisting in my chest. Who's early? He turned to me, eyes sharp. You really don't know, do you? The door burst open behind him. Voices shouted. Flashlights cut through the rain. And before I could even blink, the past months of lies, secrets, and betrayals came crashing into one terrifying truth: this wasn't just about infidelity anymore. The door burst open with a flash of light and shouting, "Federal agents! Don't move!" Marco froze, hands up. Rachel gasped, backing into the hallway. And me? I stood there like a statue, rain still dripping from the open door, heart hammering out of rhythm. Two agents rushed in, weapons drawn but steady. One grabbed Marco's arm, twisting it behind his back, snapping cuffs in place with cold precision. Marco Lattaro, the taller one, said. You're under arrest for fraud, wire transfers, and money laundering. You have the right to remain silent. I told you they were watching. Marco spat, glaring at me. You should have destroyed that drive. I stepped back, trying to process it all. You used me. You used my name. He laughed, bitter and low. You really think she didn't know? My gaze shot to Rachel. She shook her head fast. He's lying. Ethan, you have to believe me. Enough, the agent barked, hauling Marco toward the door. But Marco wasn't done. He twisted around just before being dragged outside, eyes locked on me. Ask her who set it up. Ask her whose idea it was. Then he was gone, swallowed by the rain and flashing lights. Silence. Just me and Rachel again, like always, after every storm. She crumpled onto the couch, face in her hands. I never wanted this. He told me it was easy money. That nobody would get hurt. I stared at her, memories rewinding, the secrecy, the payments, the night she said she was working. He said you came to him, Rachel. That it was your plan. Her shoulders trembled. I did it for us. For us? I said quietly. You sold our names, our lives, for cash and compliments. She looked up then, and that's when I saw it. Not fear. Not shame. Resentment. You think you're innocent? She whispered. You signed half those transfers. You didn't even read them. You wanted the money too. The room spun. What are you saying? She stood, stepping closer. The accounts weren't just mine. They're joint. You're already listed. Everything they find, they'll trace back to both of us. My stomach turned to ice. I remembered, months ago, she'd handed me forms, said they were tax documents. I'd signed without question. Without reading. She smiled faintly, eyes cold. So, congratulations, Ethan. You just turned yourself in. I staggered back, mind spinning. You set me up. I saved us, she hissed. If I go down, you go down too. So maybe think before you turn on me again. Outside, sirens wailed. Inside, everything went quiet. Because the most painful truth wasn't just that my wife had cheated. It was that she'd planned for the day she'd be caught. And made sure I'd fall with her.